Welcome to the Rich Report, a podcast with news and information on the world of high-performance computing. Today my guests are from QwikLABS. We have Palowitch and Ken Sauter. Gentlemen, welcome to the show today.
It's great to be here.
Great to be here.
Well, thanks for coming on. I guess before we get started here, probably the big question: who is QwikLABS, and who do you help?
Well, let me jump in there. So this is Palowitch, and I'm the SVP of Business Development for QwikLABS. And if we're looking at the QwikLABS overview slide, this kind of sums it all up into kind of one quick sentence, and that we're a software platform out in the cloud, and we are one place that any of the listening audience can go to, whether they're a software company or a subject matter expert or an instructor, and create a hands-on lab, either for their clients-to-be, their students, or for their customers for training. And we're a platform where you can create that, manage it, deliver it from the cloud with scalability of the public cloud, and very inexpensively because of the things that we can do in terms of efficiencies in the cloud.
So labs, you're talking like in terms of a hands-on kind of classroom situation? Is that what you mean by that?
Yeah, well, a lab being a lab environment, a running system, and with software pre-installed that you might want to give your students or your customers access to, some pre-installed files and some instructions on steps to go through that you want to teach. So a little bit more about us in terms of our background. Small company based in the Boston area and in Philadelphia area. And the founders were all from a background in IT and in higher education, from Sun Microsystems primarily, also IBM and VMware. And we've been very successful since launching several years ago, and we do the worldwide training for a number of large companies, biggest being Amazon Web Services, who does all their global hands-on training with our platform for their cloud offerings, and also NVIDIA, who uses us to teach GPU programming, something that's going to be of interest to the folks listening on your audience today. We are big. We deliver labs globally, all around the world, 24 hours a day, and serving to really a who's who of the Fortune 500 who are out there trying to learn all kinds of things in IT and the cloud. Moving to the next slide, I'm going to turn it over to Ken to explain what we're looking at here.
Thanks, Rich. This is Ken Sauter, as Casey mentioned, from QwikLABS. I guess I'm performing the role of the color announcer in the sports analogy. We've got a few slides that will give you kind of a visual idea of how QwikLABS is used to engage with customers, partners, and employees. And you think computer lab, we're certainly used extensively in classrooms as well as online, but the pictures that we'll intermittently look at today show how QwikLABS is used at events. And the first picture, if you have it up, Rich, is QwikLABS being used at the reInvent conference in Las Vegas. This is a big Amazon event with 10,000 people that attend there. And the room that you see, there's about 160 seats that are accessing all day long, around 36 self-paced labs that AWS puts up for its folks in its community at run.quiklab.com. So it'll give you an idea of the kind of volume at that two-day show. I think we did close to 2,500 labs served up to individuals that were coming and going from the room that you see right there.
Just a little bit more about the platform and our target audiences and what we deliver. So if you're familiar with cloud-delivered systems, you're aware that they're virtualized environments, and they can be pre-installed with essentially anything. And we are able to put a lab environment out there that really is unlimited in terms of its complexity and its size. We've got labs that are going out with multiple systems that are configured in intricate networking patterns, pre-installed with various programming languages and database systems, and they're really useful for folks that want to work with large data sets or files that might be difficult to have to download for 700 people at an event, but everybody going to a cloud instance makes it very easy for you to give your folks experience on what they're trying to do. One of the neat aspects of our platform is that we have something called a token, and a token mechanism to be able to give access to a lab. And this is essentially a 16-character string, secret key, if you will, that a user of our platform, a company that wants to make access to the labs, very easy, can generate these tokens and then hand them out, either in email or print them on cards and be able to distribute them. And what this token represents is one access to one lab. You can imagine a software company that wants to go to a trade show and, on a card, print out these tokens and hand them out and say, well, I know you can't spend a half hour to do a demonstration here at our booth, but you take this card, go to this website, and plug in this token, you'll be able to get a real live running system with our software installed and some instructions that will take you through a hands-on demo where you can either learn or get the experience of what we're all about as a company. So that's a really neat way that we enable that. Now, that same notion of a token, we have built into an e-commerce platform as well, Rich. And so if you go to the site that Ken mentioned a moment ago, run.QwikLABS.com, you'll see that Amazon makes about 30 or 40 self-paced labs available at this site. And when you go to access them, some of them are free, the first 6 or so, the basics, but the more complex and involved labs are for purchase, and when you purchase, you actually get tokens. So a company that wants to go and kind of get familiarized or get their staff familiarized with Amazon Web Services public cloud technologies will buy 50 or 100 tokens at a time, distribute them to the staff, and give them very inexpensive training compared to having to fly someone to Seattle and have them sit in a classroom and for 5 days. So this notion of tokens and this notion of e-commerce is a very powerful way of kind of enabling for the last bullet here, not only instructor-led and online, but events and conferences and demos as well. The rest of the bullets on the slide here talk about some of the capabilities that we have technically in the platform. Being able to integrate with learning management systems, integrate with Dropbox for persistent storage, and being able to do some things in the lab environment, like put up a lab with compromised security to give some students some access to doing some forensics exercises or some hardening competitions and things like that in the internet security space that you wouldn't want to do on your local corporate network. So we're going to move to the next slide, and I'll ask Ken to share another example of where we've been seen.
Okay, so the next visual that I'll give your audience is a little bit different from the last one, where we were presenting dozens of slides to groups of people that come in and sit down over a 2 or 3 day thousands of people, if you will. This particular slide is from the Strata Conference at Santa Clara last year, and this represents a single subject matter expert that you can see at the front of the room, who is in front of a group of his peers, sharing with his group of peers his latest and greatest technology. And with QwikLABS, he can walk into that room and ask folks to go to their QwikLAB account and log in, and immediately everybody in that room is on the same page, and they're sharing the latest and greatest technology that subject matter expert was able to launch and share with his peers at that meeting. So it's a different kind of use case, but I think you get the example.
Next slide, just a set of examples of the kinds of labs that we've built in QwikLABS, or we are building today for clients. And you'll see it ranges from everything from basic sysadmin type labs that we've done for some basic IT programs, through parallel programming on GPUs or general purpose GPUs with NVIDIA. By the way, a little plug here for nvidia.QwikLABS.com, which is another site with self-paced labs in programming in CUDA. So of great interest to your listening audience here, that they can go and get some hands-on very inexpensively on NVIDIA technologies. And you'll see a whole range of other technologies and IT topics that we've covered in labs. One that we've built very recently that might be of interest to your big data listeners is the notion of an IPython notebook lab. We built this and demonstrated this 2 weeks back at the ACM SIG event for computer science education, and it's a IPython notebook general purpose. So you launch the lab and you've got an IPython notebook server. And if you're familiar with that environment, you can look at, drag and drop in IPython notebooks and be able to do interactive Python, bring in data sets, graph them all interactively through your web browser. So really neat stuff there. Yes, so we can do data warehousing, big data, generate a Hadoop cluster with the push of a button, not have to worry about the care and feeding of all those hardware machines, and build that cluster as big as you want it to be. And when you're done, press the end button and that Hadoop cluster goes away, and it launches and destroys very cleanly, and gives you an environment that's economically more feasible than going out and buying a whole raft of hardware. But the nature of our platform is that it's completely configurable and customizable, and we'd love to invite your listening audience to work with us and build some labs and challenge us on building something in the cloud that we hadn't thought of yet, or that it's important to their business. So give us your problems to solve for you in terms of hands-on labs. Ken, what's the next picture we're going to look at?
Well, the next slide is a group of students learning parallel programming on QwikLABS. It's a full CUDA programming environment and lab that is shown being accessed at the supercomputing show that was in Denver last year. And for the NVIDIA folks, they're able to roll into these events and within minutes have folks walk in with their own laptops from a common browser and be in a full environment that allows them to start learning parallel programming without NVIDIA having to set up a whole room full of systems someplace nearby. So
I'll bet Rich was at that show.
Yeah, in fact, I was kind of hanging out in that space, and I had no idea what was going on other than they were learning something, right, on how to do CUDA, but I had no idea you guys were behind that.
Exactly right.
One more kind of text-filled slide just to give your listeners a little bit more in-depth on, why working with QwikLABS makes sense in today's era rather than these pictures that are shown there of desktop systems or data centers. Well, two biggest reasons. One is that when you build a lab for QwikLABS, you're building your infrastructure, but you're building it as code. And this allows for incredible flexibility and all the advantages of dealing with code, making it dynamic, making it archivable, duplicatable, scalable in ways that hardware is not. So literally we're taking advantage of scriptability and capability of building labs dynamically, so we can actually pull in the most current versions of code and examples on the fly as the labs are being built. Things that you can't do when you're doing the care and feeding of a room full of hardware like in the picture. And the second is, from a business standpoint, we move the equation on infrastructure for learning and labs from a capital expense to the operating expense column. You don't need to spend any money up front on capital purchases anymore. You do your labs with QwikLABS, and it becomes an ongoing pay only for what you use equation going forward for where your training and your pre-sales infrastructure lines up in the financial column. So those are really the two big benefits, and the rest of the bullets here just talk about some of the other things we're able to do. And a lot of companies or schools were constrained to have to simulate either a particular educational experience or their software, and no longer do you need to do that. We can always be able to provide a live running system. The scalability and the integration that we're able to achieve now with QwikLABS, we integrate to learning management systems of all stripe. If you're in higher education, you may be running Blackboard or Moodle or Canvas or Sakai. We integrate with all of those via a mechanism called LTI, and it makes it just a push button to go from your learning management system into the lab with all the single sign-on happening in the background. Net, we just make it a lot easier and much quicker to go from an idea of a hands-on experience that you want to provide your users to being able to do it and make it sustainable and make it scalable and make it affordable. So I'm going to have Ken talk us through the next picture, and then we're going to have a little bit of an ask for your audience, Rich.
Okay, thanks, Casey. Rich, I'm not sure if you were at this event. It was last year, 2013, the High Performance Computing Conference in Bangalore. Were you at that one?
No, I wasn't. I'm familiar with the what it is, what it's all about, though.
Okay. Well, this is, once again, NVIDIA taking their full-blown CUDA parallel programming environment on the road overseas. And so we're able, with QwikLABS, to attach them and their labs to a local global cloud resource that's close to wherever they happen to be. In this case, it was Bangalore. To give them this exact same performance level that they were getting in Colorado, they're giving to the folks you see here in Bangalore.
Very slick. So you were able to just mirror the environment onto a third-party cloud provider?
Well, an image of that environment is stored on the cloud, and then wherever a student or user is, the minute they ask for that environment by hitting the Start Lab button, it is delivered to them in a live running cloud-based systems environment to their desktop, regardless of where they are in the world.
So they didn't have to build a bunch of infrastructure in that booth or wherever in this conference area. They just needed a network connection.
Exactly right. Wherever there's the internet and a browser, you have access to most any kind of environment that you can create.
Yeah. Well, I wanted to ask you guys about the old way that companies like Amazon had to do this. Were they pretty much limited to bring people into the training room in Seattle? Is that how they got it done?
Well, it's funny, Rich. We have companies that come to us for our solution because we're not kidding now when we tell the story, but they literally install their software environments into laptops, and they'll fill up a shipping crate full of 40 or 50 laptops and UPS them around the world to the training site. And I can't imagine a more expensive, but in terms of kind of damaging to the infrastructure, shipping it in a UPS crate around the world, you're probably going to have infant mortality, 4 or 5 of those laptops coming out of that box broken.
And heaven forbid if there's a change to the software or an update, they have to go through that process again, whereas since this image resides on the cloud, you change that single image once, and then it's immediately available to everybody in the world.
Yeah, especially if they're running Windows or something and it decides it wants to update half the laptops for some security update or something. Well, this sounds pretty compelling. But do you guys provide mostly the infrastructure to make this possible, or are you providing learning modules and training creation setups as well?
Yeah, what we would do is we would collaborate with anybody who's interested in creating a lab. and get that lab built to their specifications. And as I said before, once it resides on the cloud, it's then open to, have it electronically transported via the cloud anywhere in the world. And so just like that fellow that showed up at a tech conference, you could arrive with your laptop and tell everybody to open their laptops up and sign on to QwikLABS, and they would see the lab content that's been purposed for them, just like that.
So, Rich, you may have noticed on the very first slide we had a little badge up in the right-hand corner that said that we're an Amazon Web Services partner.
Yeah.
We're a technology partner with Amazon because of the fact that they have, in our opinion and our practice, at least a 4 or 5 year head start in terms of global infrastructure build-out, just in terms of points of presence and locality, but as well as the services and the capabilities across about 28 different service types that we take advantage of. And in some of those instances, we are the largest user of some of those capability sets for Amazon. So where we don't build out data centers or infrastructures, what we do is we make optimal use of what Amazon has provided and make it easy for educators and software companies to take advantage of it in the classroom type of metaphor. So we will build the lab environment, and then we'll make it easy to add students, to schedule classes, to schedule labs, to manage the underlying access to the Amazon resources, which is a big challenge when you think about the different accounts that you have to manage underneath. We simplify that all to one button click for the end user.
Very slick. And as far as, potential clients out there, do I have to be a Fortune 500 company like an Amazon to engage with you guys, or do you work with the small training operations?
Not at all. We'd love to engage anybody who's interested in developing lab content and getting it up and running, in the cloud. We'd be happy to do that.
We actually think that there are probably listening right now some folks who we really want to inspire with this, and that is individuals or 1 and 2 person folks who may have said, boy, I should write a book on this because I know this better than anyone. Well, let me ask those listeners that you have to, instead of going to a publisher who may not have your long-term best interest at heart and can't probably provide a hands-on environment, let's work together to take that idea you have and build it into some online hands-on labs that you could be actually putting in the QwikLABS Marketplace today, just like NVIDIA is doing, just like Amazon is doing, and create a new revenue stream for yourself pretty much day one.
Very slick. So a way to monetize your knowledge base, right, that's more in keeping with where we are today in terms of technology than versus the put out a book that takes a year to get published and is probably out of date within a short time, the way things move so rapidly.
Yeah, and if you're lucky to get paid by the publisher, a couple of points on that book. Doing it this way, you're going to be making a lot more money a lot faster.
So tell me more about this marketplace. I'm envisioning something like the iTunes store. Is it like that for learning packages? Learning labs?
And that's a great segue to the last slide in our deck here with my asks for the audience that's listening to us. So these first 2 links are 2 examples of our QwikLABS Marketplace. The first is the Amazon Marketplace, where you can go today, and listeners can go today and actually take some free labs. And if you haven't gotten a taste of what Amazon Web Services can do for you, there's a lot there. The free labs get you are a good whetting of your appetite, but you'll see that there's a ton that you can do. And the second link is the marketplace for NVIDIA. We're on track to pull these all together into one overall marketplace, and we're working with other content providers right now who are building labs that are going to get deployed into this marketplace. And literally, users come in, swipe the credit card, buy the tokens, take the labs, and the vast portion of the revenue coming in goes to the content expert. So that's the marketplace.
Very nice, very nice. Well, I can't let you guys go without, asking about how big is your potential market? Have you looked at that? I mean, compared to where you are today.
Well, we think that the training market for IT is very large, multi-billion-dollar marketplace. It's very fragmented, as you can imagine, and we think the big game changer is by providing these very serious data center assets in the cloud makes resources available to anybody, anytime in the world. And if you look at these two services that we offer, the run.QwikLABS.com and nvidia.QwikLABS.com, folks are going to those sites 24 hours a day around the world, and they're taking labs. So we think it's a big game changer.
That's terrific. And are you going to be at the GPU conference coming up in San Jose?
Yes, we will. Looking forward to it.
All right. Well, maybe I'll stop by with my video kit and see if we can get a little demo going.
There
here.
you go.
How about that?
That would be great for follow-on. Thank you.
Okay. Well, hey guys, this is very intriguing, and I want to thank you both for coming on the show today.
Great to be here with you, Rich, and best wishes to your audience, and thanks for having us aboard.
You bet. Okay, folks, that's it for the Rich Report. Stay tuned for more news and information on the world of high-performance computing.